Just one sec. Sometimes. All right, let's check that connection. Again, sorry, round two, guys. So hopefully didn't lose too many people then, but I just had the wrong description in there. So let me just add this, share this to your LinkedIn, and then we are good to go. Yeah, how's everyone's week been? Hopefully everyone's been having a solid week on the track. Let us know how you've been while I set all this up. Mr. Norquay, hopefully you get back on and we can have a chat. So that's that. And I'm just going to... Sorry, guys. Okay, post that. G'day, Tom. On there. All right, so yeah, we're back on. I think we're good now. Okay, cool. Guys, yeah, Jimmy here. I'm an online guy. It's been a long week as we've all had a pretty solid week this week. So I've got a beer in hand. Just going to get real with everyone today. I've got a few things I want to, talk about. Just some observations I made today. For those on LinkedIn, you get to see my transformer in the background there. Yeah, just some observations I made today at a job fair that I went to. And just a little bit of, real talk. Sometimes in business, there's so much posturing and positioning that sometimes it's good to get on there and just have, talk about some real business problems that we all face. And I want to start today with basically this job fair. James, I'm not sure if you tuned in, mate. Hopefully you're doing well. You got a few cold ones at the office. I'm joining you with that. Yeah, so I went to this job fair today, right? Now, we are well and truly in a growth phase. We've picked up, a bit of work and, we're sort of at maximum capacity, new office, everything. So I'm pretty excited about what's happening with my online guy and its prospects and everything like that. I went to this job fair today and nothing against the teenagers and the job applicants that were there, but it was pretty disheartening to not from a perspective of the quality of the candidates and just the people that are there. There's some amazing people there, some really good kids with some really good attitudes. What was really disappointing was the lack of knowledge that marketing is a career path in technology. It was really disappointing actually, because basically what I was doing was walk around and just saying, "Oh, do you like computers? Do you like technology? Have you ever thought about marketing as a career?" And I would say 95% of the kids, the teenagers that were there, didn't even know it was a career path. And that's obviously something at school level that is not being told to them or taught to them, and it led to a lot of questions when we were there. And one of them was I actually spoke to a teacher that was there about this. And about this specific thing, going, why don't you guys tell, there's a lot of kids out there that aren't meant to be tradies, that aren't meant to be, accountants. There's some people that just love technology and love computers and want to know what career paths are out there that aren't network IT or coding, coding or, whatever. And she was very honest. It was actually really good. She was very honest. She said the reason we don't push and we don't explore it is because we don't understand it. And that was a bit disheartening. That's where this whole disheartening thing comes from. It was a bit disheartening that, we all struggle to find good staff and I wonder if a lot of that is because the channels to getting people into these job roles doesn't exist at school level. Obviously it's a new space, but it's a growing space and there's a huge demand for what we do. And it can be a very rewarding career for someone that loves technology and someone that likes problem solving. They just, just doesn't get the recognition it deserves at school level. So it was a little bit disappointing, but I spoke to a few kids there There were several kids there that were really interested in learning more, so I sent them in the way of the website, and they're just going to have a look. But yeah, yeah, it just sort of took me back to my schooling. It took me back to the way I grew up, and yeah, it was a little bit confronting actually, because like if I'd known that this career path existed when I left school, I always wonder how different my life would actually be. I'm a massive tech nerd. I still am. I'm a little bit more balanced in regards to my life outside of computers now. But like when I was a teenager, I love computers, and I did, and I always have, and I always will. But when I was at school, the only career path with computers was networking, basically. Networking, the internet was just coming into fruition. But even networking and stuff like that didn't really get the love it deserved in schools. And I just wonder sometimes, like, hopefully I don't piss anyone off when I say this, especially around the city of Mandurah, but I have on several occasions reached out to our local council, our mayor, and I've said to them, guys, like, we need to create an ecosystem in Mandurah where we live of even giving the kids an opportunity to explore this as a career path, and they just choose to ignore me. And on two occasions, I've consciously had a sit down with Pauline and said, do we need to move this agency to somewhere where staffing is less of an issue? Because we live in a place where that's a real issue and a real concern is the lack of skilled candidates. And it all starts at school level, and I'm not even getting any help to get into schools to talk to kids about this even being a viable option for someone that loves technology and loves problem solving. So that it just brought up a few bad experiences I've had in the last couple of weeks, trying to work out how to upskill people into what we do. But besides that, I mean, every industry probably struggles with the same thing. Staffing is always a real issue for most businesses, and we're no different in what we do. But yeah, we're just an interesting observation. Now, the topic at hand: why sometimes burning the bridges is the best course of action. I want to talk a little bit about why I think sometimes people use comfort as an excuse not to dive feet first into an activity or a business venture or something like that. Now, I want to give everyone a little bit of background about how my online guy actually came about. I used to work in agriculture. As you can see, I still have a very, very deep connection to ag. But I used to work for a company called Boatman Machinery, and they're based in the wheat belt. And they are beautiful people, and I owe a lot of what I have to the Boatmans, so I'm forever grateful to them. But this time 2 years ago, I was actually running an ag branch, a dealership. I had 20 staff, and I was running a dealership branch. We turned over $30 to $40 million as a branch. So I was quite in quite a high position with a salary to match, and I just wasn't content. I just wasn't. I would sit there, and I would sit at my desk, and I would do what I needed to do, put out the spot fires, and I just wasn't content. And then, and I was always doing SEO and marketing and things on the side. And then I actually decided one day, went to Paul, and it's like, I really just want to get back to the place we grew up, which is Mandurah, and I really want to start this agency and start taking clients on. So we made a conscious decision to do that. And I gave the Boatman 6 months notice, which they appreciated, obviously. But because of the role I was in, it was quite difficult to fill. So long story short, 6 months came along, and they basically hadn't filled my role. So they suggested that I work part-time until they filled the role, and I would do a little bit higher level than what I was doing. So I wasn't managing people anymore, but I was ordering machines. And then my boss was going to go and manage the day-to-day of the actual branch. So that was working really well. I got paid enough to live part-time. And then I started the agency. I started taking on more clients, got this office, and started the ball rolling. That is when I realized something. I was making enough doing the part-time work that I really didn't need this agency to succeed or fail. And I wouldn't consciously admit that because I was putting in the effort at that time. When we first started, I was putting in the effort. I was on here, I was doing my videos, I was doing the work. So I was putting in the effort, but I had no blood in my mouth. I hadn't burnt the bridges. Not burnt the bridges, burnt the boats. Definitely don't burn bridges. Still good friends with the Boatmans, and you don't want to be burning bridges. But I hadn't burnt the boats. I'd left the boats on the shore. That my backup was the fact that I was working part time for Boatmans, and I could actually just go and get back on the boat and start again with Boatmans if I really got stuck. That was my fallback, right? Um, I realized one day that I am just treating, even though I had the office and had clients and everything, I was just treating the agency as a hobby. Really, like when most of the income relied on the job at Boakmans, I was just treating this as a hobby. So one day, on a whim, I went to the Boakmans and said, "Look, I can't do part-time work in this agency. I've got to fully commit to this agency." So I committed to this agency um, full time. Basically, gave my notice to Boakmans, committed to it full time, and we were only generating revenue wise at that point $3,000 a month, and I committed to it full time, generating $3,000 a month revenue. The office itself was $1,000 a month, and I just burnt the boats. I said, if I have no choice but to go forward, I'm going to go hell or high water. I'm going to push forward. And fast forward 2 years, and we're in the position we are now. But I like to look back and go, would we have had the success we've had today if it wasn't for burning those boats originally? And I think a lot of people, and I hate to generalize, but I think a lot of people half have their foot in the business, but that is doing agencies especially, half have their foot in the agency space, and then half have their foot in the boat. And I just think that you can't fully commit to something like this without taking that boat and burning it and going, well, I've got to make this work well now. I have no choice. You look at, and I see, and I understand why people do that. Not everyone can just go, well, I can generate I can't. Some people have to, you have to live. I understand that. You can't just quit a job that pays well on a whim and without the wherewithal, like financially, to do it. I understand that. I honestly do. But I have spoken to several people now that informally mentoring, that have told me that they want to make a real good go of the agency, yet they're not willing to give up, sacrifice any or have any risk to do it. Now, I'm not sure if James is in here. James would be a great person to talk about this. And, for full context, I'm 34. I did this. I started this agency and moved to where we are when I was 32. I had 2 kids, I had a wife, had a mortgage. So people can't use the fact that they're not single and they're not young and stuff as an excuse. I just think that honestly, there's not enough people in the world just burning the boats and pushing forward. We're very lucky to live in a country where we have Centrelink and we have welfare. What happens if you lived in a country where that stuff didn't exist? And, your only option, let's say hypothetically you lose your job and your only option is to beg or to scrape together, scrap to make a coin. We live in a country where there's a lot of parachutes between us and real destitution. And I think people forget that. I sort of made a commitment to Pauline, my wife, that if I couldn't make this agency work, I would go and flip burgers. I would go to Macca's, or I would go work at Woolworths, and I would go flip burgers or work at a checkout. We live in a country where there's fallbacks, and people don't want to risk anything to achieve anything. And it's generalizing, obviously, but I've spoken to several people now that want to be either in the position I'm in or working towards it, but they're not willing to give up anything to do that. the amount I've sacrificed in the last 2 years to achieve what we've achieved, um, I never really talk about it because it's just par for the course. But we have sacrificed a hell of a lot to be in the position we are today, and without that sacrifice, we it wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on here and sort of just vent a little bit about some of the excuses I hear about people and why they don't start. They want to start, they want to be their own boss, they want to they want to get the financial freedom that and the luxury that having a business has, but they're not willing to risk anything to do it. And quite frankly, if I'm put in a room and I've got blood in my mouth and my bridges are burnt and I have to make it work, and I'm put in a room and competing against people that have one foot in a job and are doing it part time and don't have the blood in their mouth because it doesn't actually, they'll never admit it, but subconsciously they don't need what they're doing to succeed or not. Like if they've got an agency, they don't need it to succeed. They've got a job. They earn enough money part time to scrape by, and they may not have the quality of life they used to because they're part time or whatever. But they're never going to beat me. They're never gonna beat me when I have to push forward with this because I've got a wife, 2 kids, a mortgage, and all that. I have to push forward with this. And I'm starting to peel back a few layers here. And I got really pissed off the other day. I had someone tell me that I was lucky, and that pissed me off. Yes, I am lucky that a confluence of several things came together to make sure I was born. Yeah, I'm lucky that I was born. I was one of the 7 billion sperm that made it into a human being. Yes, I'm lucky. I'm also lucky I have good health and I don't have cancer. And, I'm lucky that my kids are healthy, definitely. But when it comes to this business, it's not luck. Luck plays a part, but it's definitely a lot. It's definitely not luck. And that pissed me off. I actually quite upset at the person because I was like, really, all luck is to the untrained eye is a confluence between education and education of opportunity. So being able to see opportunity and having the knowledge of how to take advantage of that opportunity. That's all luck is. Yeah, it's lucky that it's lucky that a meteor doesn't fall out of the sky and hit you on the head. It's lucky that doesn't happen because that's completely out of your control. But it's not lucky when I come in here and spend anywhere between 40 and 80 hours a week working on this business. And then I post something about how I'm thankful and grateful, and I have someone going, "Oh, you're so lucky to be in the position you're in." It's not. None of that is luck. Yeah, a portion of it is good timing, but it's certainly not luck. I can go back and tell you exactly the game plan and everything I did to get to this point. But yeah, it pisses me off when people say, "Oh, you're lucky because you did this," or you're lucky you started the agency," or "You're lucky that you got that client," or whatever. Bullshit. That is not luck. That from someone that's not educated in how to perceive opportunities and evaluate opportunities, it may look like luck, but it certainly isn't freaking luck that got us to the position we're in today. It was a whole bunch of hard work from a team of people putting in 110%. And the natural side effect of that is good results, whether that's financially or whether that's getting more clients. You put in the effort, you get the results. That's just the way the world works. And like I said, if I'm put in a room of my contemporaries and I'm sitting here working my ass off and doing everything I can to make it succeed, and they're not working as hard as me, or they don't understand it as well as me, they'll lose. And every industry is the same. There's always someone in the industry that's perceived to be lucky. They just do a lot of things and take advantages of opportunities that they've educated themselves to see, and they've educated themselves to take advantage of. Is it luck that I spent a good portion of my 20s learning how to do affiliate marketing? Is it luck that I basically have created a live stream once a week for almost a year and a half? Is that luck? No, I don't think it is. And I think more people need to stop using luck as an excuse to go, "Oh, I can't do that because he's lucky he got to where he is today." or like anyone can make their own luck. It's pure luck if you don't get cancer or something like that, or something terminal, something that's out of your control. But it's definitely not luck if there's any element of control behind it. So I think those people, to those people that are sitting here going to their friends or family that are working hard and going, oh, you're so lucky to be financially. I got that. That was another thing I got when we started this is oh, you're so lucky you were in financial position to just give up your job. It's like, that wasn't freaking luck. I made a educated decision on what I thought we could achieve in a 30-day period as opposed to a 15-day period. I basically went, there is 8 hours every day at a minimum to work, and there's 30 to 31 days in a month. So if I'm working 15 days a month, because I was working the others half of Bokeman's, and working 8 hours a day on those, or 10 hours a day, and I was making 3,000 a month, then it stands to purpose that if I commit 30 days a month to this and 8 hours, 10 hours a day for 30 days a month, then I should make $6,000. Wouldn't that make sense? And what I found happened is, because I committed that much more time to it, it like amplified the effort, and that figure went up significantly, a lot higher than that. And so yeah, I think that's what I wanted to get on here and say, is that sometimes you need to burn the bridges, don't burn the bridges, sorry, that's not what I meant, burn the boats, so that you only have one direction to go in, and that's forward. And if you sit there and you burn the boats and go, I have to make this work, if you've educated yourself, and if you're in the right place, and if you've got a confluence of things coming together, then you will make it work. If I put you on a desert island tomorrow and told you need to survive, because if you survive, you will be happy for the rest of your life, or you will have, $100 million. You will sure as hell do everything to survive. And I think that's what people don't appreciate. I think a lot of people don't have enough faith in their own ability to make things work, and they use the comfort of having one foot in several camps to mitigate risk. But the best outcomes come out of risky environments. I remember distinctly. I remember this distinctly. If anyone's spoken to me, I talk about this often. I quit Bokeman's in February last year. In March, I was literally contemplating whether I go back to work, because 3 of my clients had their agreements with me had run out, and I'd gotten the good results, but I agreed to a fixed term. And I was literally sitting here in this office. COVID was just the first part of COVID had just started, and I basically went, oh crap, I have no clients. COVID has just started, and I have no business. And g'day Wendy, hopefully you're doing well. This is more of an impromptu thing, so thanks for tuning in. So I got to March, I had no clients, I basically had no business. It disappeared. And I was sitting here with this office in the exact spot I'm sitting now, going, what the hell am I going to do? I was seriously contemplating going to Macca's or going to Bokeman's and going, can I have my job back? But I turned around and basically said, well, look, I've got the office anyway. I'm in this situation I'm in. I might as well go down swinging and do everything I possibly can to make it work. At least I can turn around and say that I gave it a good crack, right? So I jumped on here. I jumped on lives. I jumped on Facebook. I jumped on socials 3 or 4 times a day doing live streams, just trying to help people. I went, well, if I can't sell what I do, I might as well just try and help people. So I jumped on here. I showed people how to use Zoom. I showed restaurants how to set up booking systems, because there was a lot of scared people around. And what I found by doing that, by just doubling down and going, well, look, the boats are burnt. I've got to make this work. And if I'm here, I might as well do something. What I found by doing that, it was a little bit like Forrest Gump. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but When he buys Bubba Gump shrimp, he goes out during the storm with Lieutenant Dan, and he's the only outboat in the storm, and he's getting rocked around, and they're, whatever. And all the boats that were in the safe harbor, and this is COVID. This is what happened to me. I was out there pretty much every day providing information, and then everyone else just closed shop basically, and just was consolidating and planning. And I just went to stuff, and I'm just going to go out there and just try and help as many people as I can while I have the resources to be able to do it. That was like going out in the storm. And then in Forrest Gump, when he comes back, all the ships that were at shore all got destroyed by the hurricane, and they were the only ship left, and there was shrimp everywhere. That's what happened to me. I doubled, tripled down with no idea whether it was going to come back. I just figured, look, I've got the computer, I've got the office, I might as well come in here and just try and help people through COVID, through this initial period. Then the government released JobKeeper. Then all of a sudden I woke up, like I remember distinctly, it was the 4th of April when JobKeeper got announced, and I woke up and I had 11 inquiries in my inbox. It went from like hearing nothing from anyone for a solid month to 11 inquiries. And I pretty much got all of them. And it was because I went out there, I had the bridges burnt, I had no choice, and I just pushed ahead with what I felt would work based on experience, and the reward came. But honestly, that month, I was rolling into this office going, I am literally not earning anything right now. I have 2 kids, I have a family, I have a mortgage, and I'm literally earning no money. What am I going to do? And so I started, between the posts that I was doing where I was helping, I was on Seek looking for jobs, and I was like, oh my god, I'm looking for a job during COVID. This isn't going to be good. But then it came good. Like I said, I woke up and I had 11 inquiries sitting in my inbox, and the rest is kind of history. I just doubled and tripled down on what worked. And it's why you see my face everywhere, because it's what worked then. It's what worked in the darkest days of this agency. So it's always something I'm going to lean on going forward, because it basically carried us through. Like I said, it's not easy rolling into an office you have to pay for and having zero work. So I think if that's, hopefully someone's gotten something out of this. I'm not sitting here trying to brag, or it's not hashtag blessed or anything. I just want to really show people that, we live in countries that, like, if you live in a first world country, you really have to stuff it up to get to the point where you are like, actually, I have no other choice but to live on the street, or my family will go hungry. Honestly, my mum is Filipino, and I'm a half Filipino. And you go to a country like the Philippines and see people begging on the streets because there's no welfare system. That is a different scenario. When the alternative to making succeed is living on the streets and being destitute, it's one thing. But if the agency didn't work, I went back to work. If I couldn't get work, I went on welfare. If welfare didn't work, there's 100 charities in this city. I think people use comfort. Like, I think people say they want to keep their jobs because they need bills to pay and stuff. But I actually think a lot of it too is people living without, not living within their means, and getting to the point where they're forced to because they can't do it. So we mentally prepared for this. We had that 6-month period. What we did in that 6 months is paid down all our debt. So our living expenses, we worked it out. My wife and I, we sat down and did the numbers, and we worked out that we could live on about, if it really came down to it, as a family, we could live on about $3,500 a month. That was, not eating great, but, all our bills paid and everything. So we worked that out. We're like, that's 3/4 of that is Centrelink if we really got stuck. So I think, I think people, there's reasons people have to keep their jobs and not burn the burn the boats as such. But I also think it's, a lot of that is self-inflicted, and a lot of that is by lifestyle design, not necessarily the fact that, so they don't want to mitigate. It's not a comfort thing. They know subconsciously that they need to burn those boats, but their lifestyle has been created in a way that they are completely dependent on that. And I would say to those people that, like I said, if you and I are competing against each other, and we're both quoting, and I have blood in my mouth, and I have the bridges and the boats are burnt, and I have no choice, and you're sitting there with one, you're never going to beat me. You're never going to beat someone that has to make this work. So my suggestion that if you have one foot in both camps, um, you have a serious think about whether you want to move into a space like this, or start your own business, because when there's people out there that their whole livelihood depends on it working, you're just not going to beat them. You're not going to beat them at what they do. And I experienced that firsthand, and I honestly believe that now. I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't believe that as much, because I was like, well, I'll just outwork them. I'll just do 15-hour days. I'll get home from Boatman's and I'll do another 8 hours on top of that. But you're not as efficient as someone that's coming into a space and all their focus on their whole life depends on making it work. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I think I just wanted to get on here and have that little rant, because a lot of people don't realize that blood in the mouth is what makes the people that are destined for greatness achieve greatness. And whether that's as a business or as a plumber, or starting your own crafts business, you're never going to give it the love you give to something. You're never going to give the love to something that's not winning the bread for you. And I know everyone's got passion businesses and hobbies, but if that's the case, then treat it as that. Don't, I at this job skills fair, there was one person that was there that had an agency, and so I was speaking to them about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I do this part time, and I work here and work there." And I said, I was quite, at that point I was like kind of over the job fair, so I was honest with her, and I said, "Are you honestly ever going to compete and beat someone like myself when you've got 3 jobs like this?" And I said, "I don't know your personal financial situation, so I'm only saying this from my personal experience, but you're never gonna, if you're in a room and you're quoting and you're proposing against 3 other people, and those 3 other people have to make this work because they've either got salaries, or it's their full-time job, or their livelihood's dependent on it, or their kids getting fed depends on it, then you're never gonna beat that. You're never gonna compete with someone like that, because it's a huge driver. And yeah, that's all I wanted to come on here and say. If you're on the fence, if you're working a job part-time, if you're starting an agency or running an agency or starting something, and you've got one foot in one camp and one foot in the business, and you really are passionate and want to see it through to its into fruition, then you really do have to burn the boats and just dive both feet first into the water and just make it work. I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me on that, but it's a lot harder when you've got financial commitments. But yeah, I've experienced firsthand being that close to the water, getting ready to get back on the boat. But when you only have one option, and that's to go forward, it's amazing what you can achieve. So I just wanted to finish on that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been a great week. I'll just quickly end on the week here. It's been a fantastic week here at My Online Guy. We're about to move into the new office next week. So I'm really excited about that. We've been advertising for a couple of new hires, which is really cool. And it's just been a good week. The teams, we've had a lot of fun this week. We've done a lot of work. Just a solid week of hustle and putting in effort. And that's all we can you can really do. But yeah, thanks guys once again for tuning in. Hopefully someone got something out of this. It's more just gathering my thoughts, and hopefully it wasn't too rambly. But I've never really sat down and articulated that part of it. And like I said, getting told that I was lucky really triggered it, and it pissed me off a little bit. And I just wanted to respond to that person that said I was freaking lucky after I posted yesterday about how thankful I was to be in the position I'm in. So yeah, best of luck, guys. As always, if anyone wants any advice on running an agency, starting an agency, running a business, transitioning to it full time, come and chat to me. I love talking about this stuff, and I really just want to help people, achieve financial freedom through controlling their own destiny. So yeah, have a chat to me, and we'll I'll help you through. I'll help you in any capacity I can. So thanks once again, guys, and I will catch you all on Thursday when we have our next live stream.